I'm Carrie Aldrich. I'm a third-year assistant professor in the Department of Writing at the University of Alaska Anchorage, and I'm going to talk about placement and place, or UAA's move from placement based on a single standardized test score to student-driven course matching and accelerated pathways, with emphasis on how placement reform has helped to move the equity bar forward at our institution. Using single standardized tests like SAT, ACT, and AccuPlacer, about 40% of freshmen placed into pre-GER level writing, and about 60% placed into pre-GER level math. This translated into major equity gaps. While about 55% of white students tested into a credit-bearing course, students of color were far more often placed into a pre-GER writing course. 41% of Asian students, 35% of Black students, 40% of Hispanic students, 39% of Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islanders, and 37% of Alaska Native or American Indian students tested into a GER level writing class, which increased their time to degree as well as the price of their education. Prior to placement reform efforts, our experiences, coupled with scholarly literature, showed that more contextualized placement is better than a standardized test score. We also knew that faculty are better at placing students than standardized tests alone. Locally developed materials have potential for greater cultural responsiveness, and acceleration works. However, barriers remained, such as lack of administrative support and involvement, limited connection with first-year advising, limited workloads to facilitate reform, an inability to talk to Banner, and lack of assessment designed for Alaska students. In addition to the course matching survey, we formed a placement committee to evaluate student writing samples in order to capture a more nuanced understanding of student writing. 70% of students who submitted a writing sample placed into a higher writing class or an accelerated learning program course. This translated into $350,000 in tuition savings, which is a 231% increase in tuition savings from 2018 to 2020. Not only did the students test into a higher writing course, they also performed better in their writing course. Alongside placement reform, we developed accelerated courses at the GER and pre-GER level. We modeled our accelerated learning program based on Peter Adams' co-requisite model at the Community College of Baltimore. ALP is a research-based and nationally recognized program. Our version of this model is comprised of a 3-credit-hour college composition course and a 2-credit support course. 22 students are enrolled in Writing 111, and 11 are also enrolled in Writing 192 with the same professor. The purpose of the support course is to support the work in Writing 111. It's an opportunity for students to focus on their coursework in a small group setting. This model allows for more individualized attention, provides students with a learning community, and gives faculty members more time to focus on students who need it most. We are currently offering ALP options at both the GER and pre-GER levels. Our ALP sections are more diverse than traditional sections of our writing courses. While 61% of our overall student body is white students make up only about 19% of students in our accelerated learning program courses. And Alaska Native, African American, Hispanic, and Native Hawaiian students are more represented in ALP sections. Placement reform, along with accelerated options, show that students who take an accelerated course are more likely to pass that course than students who take a lower level course or students who take a non-accelerated option. If you look at the left, you'll see that students who take Writing 111 ALP are more likely to pass that course than students who take the lower level class, Writing 110, or students who take Writing 111 without the co-requisite support course. 90% of students who took Writing 111 ALP passed the course, while 74% of students who took Writing 111 without an ALP co-requisite passed, and 72% of students who took Writing 110, a non-GER level class, passed. The same trend holds true at the pre-GER level, shown on the right. 81% of students who took Writing 110 with an ALP passed that course, while 72% of students who took the same course without a support course passed, and 62% of students who took Writing 090, a non-credit bearing course 2 levels below the GER level writing. That means that with a support course, students performed considerably better in a higher level course than the course the standardized test suggested they take. As this graph shows, placement reform and accelerated pathways have led to equity gains in Writing 111 success for all students, and especially for students of color. You'll notice African American students, the orange line on the graph, making a major upward swing between 2018 and 2019 when we fully implemented the course match survey and an accelerated pathway for Writing 111. Notice that Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander students, the blue line, Alaska Native students, the gray line near the bottom, Hispanic students, the green line, and Asian students, the yellow line, all passed Writing 111 with greater success after placement reform and accelerated pathways became available. We're especially proud that our team of faculty developed all materials for placement reform and acceleration in-house by UAA faculty for UAA students, including the course matching survey, writing prompts with readings, a placement table to inform decision making, and ALP learning outcomes and course materials. We're planning to scale up our acceleration efforts and will offer almost 3 times as many ALP courses in fall 2021. And our placement efforts have begun spreading to other campuses in the University of Alaska system. This spring, our faculty will engage in a 3-day workshop with Peter Adams from the Community College of Baltimore to think carefully about placement and acceleration as we continue to scale up these efforts. Next, I'll hand the presentation over to my colleague, Sarah Kirk, who will talk about participating in place.